Hello everyone. The title of today's episode is titled The Simultaneity of Divine Expression in Your Perception. And so really what Mr. Within would like to speak about is how in every moment of your life, and especially we usually acknowledge our memory in accordance to the waking state. That means if you consider reality to be three states, waking, sleep, dreaming, and then deep sleep. So what that means is your dream is kind of like a shorter wakefulness. Do you know what I mean? It's a very short wakefulness. Of course, many people have different experiences, but anyways, so so we have to some degree the waking state where I am right now talking to you. When you open your eyes in the morning. Then you have the dream state, and then you have deep sleep state where it's like nothing. You just don't know what goes on. It's as if once the battery is out, it's like, let's say your phone battery is dead, then it's being charged, and then you wake up in the morning and are like, I feel like I could do stuff, And your intuition is kind of like your battery percentage on it. Of course I'm being very playful here. But the whole suggestion is that there is a fourth state, and this fourth state is the awareness and the true witness of each state. So that means there is an attention within all these three states that never changes, but to the conscious personality, which is the moment which we are originating in, to some degree, to be able to speak, and our senses to be in conscious activation. You see, sometimes your sensory perception is in unconscious activation. And what that means is, like, for example, how would I say it, guys? I've experienced, let's say walking on the street, and then I've experienced in my dreams walking, not on the street, but on a different world. So you see, so I've recognized that there is an intelligence that in the dream state still has a body. So that means the mind surpasses the body to the degree that when we sleep we can experience a subtler body. And the experience I had in my dream was as real as the experience in the street. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys. It's just the quality of the moment is a bit different, because the moment has a different speed. So in every dream I've had, I've kind of knew the speed of the dream, and it's all very intuitive, of course. You see, like, the mind of man opens a door to itself that is the present moment, and when you are completely here and now, when you look at nowhere, it will suddenly become now here. So what that means is every experience you've had, yes, you've had it in a different moment, like, let's say past, you have a memory, you have a past, you've had birthdays in the past, and you're going to have birthdays in the future, but you're going to recognize in every moment of your existence, you are just a moment of existence. And the imagery, of course, changes, but this awareness that I am present, the witness of the I amness of your being, that is untouchable. It's always here. It doesn't go away. So that means whether you are Socrates, giving your apology to the court and the old men of Athens, and telling them that you as a being can, to some degree, not believe in demigods, and other creatures, and you can at the same time be in the presence of a spiritual and divine agents. And so what that means is that the imagery is from your mind, so how you react to it suggests the ability you have. So what that means is, imagine right now, we're all here, and let's say it's 2012 scenario, oh my God, the world is like, like breaking up and something. What happens is some people get shocked, but for some people they see that, okay, something has happened, consciousness happened, and so they navigate. And so to some degree the art of living life is, to some degree, before you die, you are the realization of the fullest capacity of how you're made. So what that means is we want to not only understand ourselves as bodies, we want to comprehend ourselves as minds that are projecting bodies, and the subtlety of this and the existential and experiential sensitivity of this transcends language. The moment this statement is said that, an experiential phenomena transcends language, all of knowledge to some degree, like 2012, begins to, apocalyptically break in your mind. Because you see that all knowledge is kept by a knower, and the knower is to some degree an identity and in its subtler form, it is the ego, but in its raw and pure form, it is just raw experience. Life is happening, and this dynamism is so vast in the moment that all the questions are coming from a person in the moment, but the whole moment happened and have a question. It is just a beingness. So this is very important, because when you recognize that there is an aspect of your own vision that is innate, and it is irrelevant and independent of anything external, you suddenly begin to see, wow, my whole life I've just been looking outside and trying to think what's inside. But what if the whole view of the outside is an internal phenomenon? And so, mankind first begins with directions. First he needs a compass, but you only need a compass and you only need directions until you get to your destination. And this is very important, because when I speak, I'm speaking to advanced communicators and pilots of consciousness. And these beings, especially many beings who are going to come, we don't understand it, but many of the children on this world are very wise, And so I find it just innately every generation of kids is kind of like, in regards to consciousness, they're taking in the evolutionary concern. And so it's as if the more, like the children being born in 2016 to some degree are carrying all the influences of humanity's and actions within the species form. So what that means is that we as people are representing the species collective. Whether our ancestors are, sitting on like football stands and watching us play this game, or whether our future children's children, are waiting for us to just, create the platform for their greatest flights. The mind of the being is transcendental, and the pilot of consciousness navigates the whole plane of existence. And what that means is, to some degree, your experiences of life is, you're so directly so directly experiencing life that you begin to see you don't need to entitle it to an idea and then entitle that idea to your name, and then entitle your name to whatever personality you feel in the moment based on the environment you're in and the environments you will go through. So you see, there's something very beautiful. It's very easy to speak about the body, but it's very complex to speak about the mind, because the mind is how many actions of the body are being witnessed at the same time. So what that means, and they're being maneuvered at the same time. So what that means is, if they ask Mr. Within, who's the greatest pilot in this creation, I will tell you it is the Creator. I will tell you that there is God here, and this God that is the here and now is to some degree, we can say, of course, many people, like back in the day, the ancient Greeks especially, acknowledged the concept of logos, and what that meant is they acknowledged that there was this innate intuitive intelligence of this divine intuitive guiding voice that pretty much took most of our great philosophers and great minds of the world to where they need to be. So man is so individually created, and at first when he tries to figure out who he is, because he doesn't have the whole information of the cosmos, he's starting from a very narrow range of reference. And so life needs to take that being into certain experiences, and once it goes through certain experiences, it's going to engage many stories. So you see, whether you fail or succeed, a new story and dimension of experience is being added. And so the wise men of this world, rather than getting caught and just endlessly fighting with, what do you call it, like yin and yang fighting, being stuck in the middle of that fight, to some degree, the wise man sees that when life is getting too hectic, especially emotionally hectic, what you do is you just see the beauty of design. The beauty of design doesn't have sides. It is not like a coin. It is so transcendental that everything is simultaneously whole. And so, really, be what every moment is sculpting you as. Think of it this way. Michelangelo has this quote. He says, "I saw the angel in the stone, and then I just set it free." What that means is this guy was a great sculptor. What he did is he saw just a piece of rock, nothing, no design, and suddenly he saw the greater design in something that didn't have that much greater design. And guess what? How do you handle problems? You see the problem, you look at it, you wonder how the problem came into existence, and then when you see its simple truths, you wonder about the simple truths being originating in another way, or being aligned in a different way, and you just find new possibilities based on how the origin of the problem communicated. So what that means is, if someone is complaining, like in your store, and they're at the customer service, let's say, they're at the desk, you don't need to call the guy on the phone and ask him if there's a problem when he he's right there, you know. So what I'm telling you is like, the suggestion is very, very, very interesting, because we all want something to work out, you know, and in that sentence, the first beginning, you see, we want something. That means if you have a desire for a specific shape, it might not come about. But if you are tolerant in such a way where you see, like you see life will naturally align your vision, and you're going to see a design, it's as if you're going to see something more real in an environment that wasn't so real for you, and then you're going to see new dimensions stretch your tutelage, you know. And what that means is, guys, knowledge was passed down vocally, and then it was dulled down to books. Do you know? That means what is more valuable is always the newest conscious thought. So that means if you bring, let's say, you tell me, you know, like if you bring the greatest library beside me, you know, and you also say there's this one kid, you know, just some random kid who has an idea on the world that no one's ever heard, and if I want to listen to that kid, or if I want to have these books, I'll tell you I would listen to that kid. Because it is a new update. Because we who are alive right now are the emissaries of life. We are the expression of now. And any being that comes close to this planet, do you know why, guys? Some people think, let me say, even if there is the thought that extraterrestrials are, of course I'm saying this very playfully. Like, this is not one of those kind of talks. Even though there's the idea that there's extraterrestrials that are looking down at us, it's as if we human beings are forgetting. You know how sometimes, like I remember seeing this commercial, it was showing this baby bear running away from some tiger, and then the baby bear gets to a point where it has no choice but it has to confront the tiger, and then when it comes to do its baby roar, suddenly like the roar of the baby is so loud that it's like the tiger runs away. The baby looks behind it and sees its mother there. So do you see that? So what I'm saying right now is that if there were any extraterrestrial eyes gazing down on mankind, they would see, like the bear's mother, the whole planet is behind us. You know, it's like, don't worry, man, the planet's got my back, you know, I can do anything in this world. See, like, that mentality means that you trust the nature of the world. And what that means is, if you don't trust the playground, how can you play in it comfortably? And even if you try to play when you don't trust it, you're going to see it's going to be an act. So think of it this way, you can be honest with people, but you can also be honest with environments and moments. And what that means is, sometimes, you know, I have seen that there has been many shortcuts if I could lie about something, but then I always realized that, you know, it was an early lesson for me, that it's okay to go the long way. You know, sometimes when you go the long way, you see that you're more in alignment, you know, with not the story of some kind of divine or spiritual agency, but you see that it's just intuition. It happens. You know, you're an intelligent being. This intelligence cannot just be defined words. So if we experience something we've never experienced before, it's like you hearing a word you've never heard before. And so does that freak you out if you hear a word you've never heard before? Do you know? So what that means is, if we saw words as people and letters as their, you know, anatomy of existence, we would notice something, that if words, how to say, words create the world, and the mind that has acknowledged the simultaneity of the micro and the macro realizes reality is too multidimensional for the judgment of one dimension. You see, guys, Mr.Within, I was in the park. I was looking at, you know, just there was no one in the park. It's just, you know, and it was in, like, you know, 11 a.m. You know, and so I was in the park, and I was just there, you know, looking. It was such a nice day, and I suddenly, like, just something gets my attention. I look left, and I see it's like a squirrel is jumping from the branches of one tree onto the branches of another tree, but it like, not jumping, but it was just like, you know, like it was just going so smoothly that for a second I got shocked, because I suddenly, my mind made, like, metaphorically saw the way the squirrel moved in the branches to be the same as how thoughts move in our brain. And so something we have never perhaps considered, and neurology has never considered, that the neurons in our mind, in our brain, are alive. Do you know? That just like how a squirrel moves from, like, different branches, you know, from the branches of one tree to another, runs from the branches of one tree from another, and it seems that these, let us say, neurons are you know, moving from these neural branches, let us say. So I find something interesting, that in one moment of life you can see the essence of all moments of life. And so this is very profound, because for many it has opened through the concept of God, but now we are realizing, especially to just the ups and downs of man's ideology and just how everything else has happened so far, that there is no wrong when there is no right, and there is no right when there is no wrong. This is why a bird needs two wings to fly, and the mind of man needs duality to function. Who the seer within is a remembrance that is louder than the past, for it is the roar of the future in the present. The stories of life are getting so exciting that they can no longer be stories, and we're realizing our divine nature. You know, Mr. Within is just one of those people that very early saying it to the Western world. You know, every human being knows what I'm talking about, because we all know that, you know, a laptop with the connected to, you know, with the charger connected to it, it experiences life much more smoothly than a laptop where every moment it feels it is about to fade. And even if it fades, it doesn't. As much as the technology advances, the users of technology must get advanced. We can no longer ignore that we're having certain influences. And so guys, Mr. Within, like the strategy I have when I speak here is that, so see, think of it this way: when a civilization wants to advance itself after certain impediments, what it does, you know, let's say the civilization on any planet, you know, in any planetary system, what the civilization does is that it sees its behind, and it sees that the majority are not contributing to, you know, the proper direction. When that happens, what happens is that a few who see the proper direction in any civilization, they come to, you know, the front stage, to the podiums of the world, and what they begin to say is not that, guys, there's a better way. They come and say a worst case scenario of a direction where mankind is going. When we see our worst case scenario, we'll be like, holy shit, you know, there's broken glass here, I better wear slippers. So similarly, the way you function in this world is not with an ignorance of like, in your mind you feel you're a good person, but when you're outside, you suddenly see like you're not abiding by the thoughts you have, you know. So that means we can have thoughts about ourselves that are not actually based on reality. They're based on what we want to be, and what we want to be is not here yet. Do you see? If you can be a Zen master, when you count money, you will know that there is only paper in your hands. The violin strings give their sermons, and so Beethoven, you know, in his deafness, you know, where he was playing the piano, it's as if his mind in this life had heard so many of those notes played, that Beethoven at some point didn't need ears to create music. What a phenomenal idea. What a phenomenal idea. And Beethoven has this quote, guys. He says, "Don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets, for it and knowledge can raise men to the divine." What that means is that meditate, get a one-pointedness on what is truly of value and truth for you. You know, it is okay to go after truth. There's nothing wrong to go after truth. What's wrong is not keeping yourself updated with your direct experience. You know, that means is a true seeker of truth needs to renounce all that he feels is not true, and then from that clear state begin the search. The mind of man is a heart that beats for all creation. You know, a very interesting point was brought up to a scientist, and they asked him, you know, some guy just came up to a scientist and said, hey man, if you're cutting up every particle you find to find, you know, what the source of that particle is, how the structure of that particle is, doesn't it make sense that when you are constantly cutting up and dissecting and just separating things, when are you going to see the whole thing? Do you know? That means if you know, let's say let's say you're a newspaper person, you know, and so you gotta go, let's say, that's not fun, but accent. Let's say you're a door-to-door canvasser or something, you know, and so let's say now instead of going to each door, you start running, and you see that you're running so fast that you can't slow down to go to each door, you know. And what I mean is that sometimes in life, just like how you can run, sometimes you can have certain energy, playfully I'm going to say, an emotion surplus of energy that suddenly turns into intuitive vision. You know, so what that means is we can't ignore cause and effect, but we can witness it in the same moment where it suddenly makes cause and effect void to the consciousness. That means cause and effect is relevant to your body. Your mind usually projects things instantaneously. That means if I tell you visualize an apple, you know, most people can do that. It just happens naturally, just by the nature of the word entering your ear and your memory, you know, sculpting itself in that way. But you see that, you know, at the same time, so like how would I say it, in the relationship of the body to the mind. Is the same relationship as the soul to the mind. And so if we as a body try to find out how we are a soul, we have to cross the ocean of our mind. And you know, you can use the Dharma, you can use whatever, but I will tell you, there is an intelligence that is you, and it is able. You know, you have not been designed for, you know, for no reason. You know, you are even so able you can create the reason. You know, one may wonder about, very playfully and poetically said, the epigenetics of language. But behind our eyes, are we the space of awareness that keeps everything that is in front of our eyes? Are we the whole cosmos thinking we're just this little thing? Or are we just this little thing thinking we're the whole cosmos? And so it is all dependent on how you know, just like how you drive your car, how you navigate your experience. And how you observe that much of it is naturally being navigated, you know. And so may this be said loud and clear, that love is the clearest and the greatest intelligence. And when I say love, I'm not talking about like corny movies. I'm like talking about like, there is a kind of love you can have, of course, with your partner, you know, and your loved ones and whatnot. But there's a love that is the love of truth, that is a revelation now. When this happens, it's like a drop suddenly realizing itself in an ocean and being like, oh my God, you know, like a drop falling into the ocean being like, oh my God. In the mind of heaven, the ears of earth hear the world beyond words. Many fingers kept by one palm, many universes kept by one center. Are we just a spinning story? Or did every human being that was alive live to see the species to one day see the true nature of the sky. Many of our great questions are kept by the great efforts of our ancestry. And many of our great answers are also kept by the great efforts of our ancestry. But now it is up to the people who are alive right now, and anybody who's listening to these Mr. Within talks. Guys, I will tell you, this is the scenario. Imagine we are the army of history, every human being that has lived, and now it has come to all those people who are right now hearing my talk. We're in the front lines, you know. We're all the people who are still alive, and I will tell you guys that some generals, the moment they just see the enemy, you know, it's as if all they do, you know, is just they look at their, you know, let us say, like, you know, like they look at, you know, all the sub-generals, you know. Or I'm gonna kind of realign this metaphor I said. I want you to visualize this. There is no general. We're all on the front lines, and it's all happening now. And we who are on the front lines are pretty much metaphorically the human beings that are alive, and all those people behind us are all those human beings that have given their contribution and they have passed away. And as we are going and as we are marching, you know, the army's still, you know, and we're in that moment where we're all acknowledging ourselves, and then suddenly, you know, some soldiers on the front lines, their attention, instead of looking back at history and their ancestry and trying to just live in those patterns, they just look in front of them and they see, oh my God, you know, an army is approaching or something, let's say, you know, let's say some movies, you know. And so you suddenly see that just those soldiers who truly become aware of what is going on, it's as if, you know, the whole army is standing there, and then you suddenly see just a few, you know, few soldiers from the front start running to the army, you know. And so you suddenly see when the few begin to run, it inspires the many, and when the whole planet begins to align itself to the core of its true nature, something phenomenal happens. The planet will guide us. You know, that means we only suffer extinction because we have forgotten the eternity that the whole cosmos has bestowed us. We are consciousness, we are not temporal, you know, stardust. I hope this talk is served. When we think clarity is above us, it is in that moment where clarity is beyond us. Much blessings and namaste.